Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday, October the 1st. I'm sorry we're late getting going here and everything. Had a Board of Public Works meeting and everything. It took a little longer than what we thought, and then, well, a good bit longer, to tell you the truth. We were in there right at an hour and a half, which is unusual, but and then some other things to clean up, but nevertheless, thanks for you waiting on us and everything. Okay, Hurricane Helene. You know, we have 22 counties still in a state of preparedness. You know, we were very, very fortunate that we've not had enormous amounts of rainfall, or we've surely not had any loss of life, and you know, we surely have some minor flooding or trees down here and there and everything, but we really are blessed. I mean, if you can just look at what's going on in the Asheville, North Carolina, western North Carolina, it's unbelievable. And so today I'm announcing that I have directed the National Guard to activate members of our fatality search and recovery team to aid ongoing efforts in North Carolina. I've also directed a contingent of engineers to head to South Carolina for reconstruction and cleanup efforts as they build back. You know, South Carolina, we still have a lot of farming operations there. Used to have an awful lot in North Carolina. Do not have any in North Carolina now. And but my goodness gracious, let me just put it in words that maybe we can understand. Is if you just step back and think about this, I think in the Asheville area they had 36 inches of rain. You know, it is honestly unbelievable to think about such a rain. You know, I believe in the state of West Virginia, the highest recorded rainfall in 24 hours that we ever have had, I think is somewhere, and I could be mistaken about this, but I think it's somewhere around 19 inches. You know, the floods of Greenbrier County, when we searched for bodies, I mean, we looked for 6 weeks for a little 14-year-old girl, Michaela Phillips, and finally found her miles downstream. You know, we found 3 different bodies on the golf courses at the Greenbrier. You know, it was unimaginable how bad it was. And I think by different accounts, the highest account I ever heard was 11.1 inches of rainfall that happened when that event occurred. Now think what 36 inches of rainfall would be. You know, think about the fact that the folks in Asheville, North Carolina, an unbelievable tourist town and everything, would they have ever thought in 10 billion years that they would be affected materially by a hurricane? I mean, it's just unthinkable. So for all of us, all these great people in this area that are going through loss of life and everything else like you can't imagine, our prayers are with them. And so we thank our National Guard for stepping up, doing all the unbelievable work that they're doing. And thank goodness, you know, even though it was Mercer, primarily Mercer, McDowell, and Wyoming counties that were affected, you know, that we didn't have any really, really bad effects, you know, from Hurricane Helene. So, again, prayers and everything with these great people. You know, we've concluded, I guess, the first round of our special session. You know, had several good things passed. We had $10 million going to communities and schools. We all know, and I've said it 10 million times, that I've never seen a program ever in my life that even compares to this on how it works, how it helps kids in need, how it helps our schools, how it helps classrooms and everything with all of our kids. It is unbelievable. So, you know, it raises our state board office teachers on about $380,000. We passed the Department of Transportation spending of $150 million, 1.2 to veterans assistance, $375,000 to our state police, and $2 million to neuroscience. And what we're going to do now is come back in a week or so here at the interims, and you know, when the legislature will be here, they're still working on all kinds of stuff. They're still working on the child care stuff. They're still working on the tax, big tax cuts, all kinds of different things that we're still working on right now, and we're working right with them. So we're, I'm tickled to death that we got this stuff across the finish line, and we got everything in front of all the other members and everything, and so lots of good stuff, I think, still to come. Here's a good thing. In September, we were $14.3 million above estimate. We started out kind of rough in July and August, and we drifted to where we were underwater by, I don't remember exactly what it was, $10 or $11 million or something like that. We're back above water now. We have had a real slow or back up, in our severance collections, and so we're watching it and we're staying on top of it, but we were happy to see $14.3 million to the upside in September. Halloween's not far away. Chelsea's with us now, our Secretary of Tourism and everything, Chelsea Ruby, but I'm thrilled to announce the launch of our West Virginia Paranormal Trail. The Paranormal Trail features 14 spooky spots across West Virginia, each with its own haunting tales. So Chelsea, come on and tell us a whole lot more about this, and what an incredible job this young lady's done. And this is just another marketing tool for the great state of West Virginia. Way to go, Chelsea. Keep it going. Okay. All right, come on, talk.
Good afternoon, Governor. Thanks for having me. We're very excited about this. We've seen over the last year or so a new trend emerging, and that's what they call scream tourism or spooky tourism, and we're ready for it. So this morning we launched the first ever West Virginia Paranormal Trail. And as the governor mentioned, there's 14 spots around the state. So there's a couple that you're familiar with. You've heard of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, the penitentiary. We've got some haunted hotels. We've got an abandoned hospital, an abandoned amusement park, and we've got some cryptids. So things like Mothman, the Flatwoods Monster, and even Bigfoot in Clay County. So we're really excited. The way this works is folks can travel around the state, check in using our website at these spots, and we'll send you prizes. So we're excited to try something new. We've seen a lot of interest in this over the last couple of years, and with some beautiful fall foliage outside, I think it's a great time for folks to explore.
Chelsea, thanks a bunch. I was doing another thing there real quick, but unbelievable, unflat believable, and like I said, another wonderful marketing tool for this great state. Just makes us better. That's all there is to it. Just keep it going.
Thank you.
And I'll probably join you somewhere on the spooky trail.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks, Sam. We have a family court judge appointment. This lady is Deborah Steed, and Deborah Steed is as the third family court circuit judge. And but Deborah, is going to take office for sure. She's been elected. She's going to take office for sure in January. So with all that being said, we're just going to appoint her now. So that dead period, or that bridge period and everything, she's going to be our judge and be our judge right now. So Deborah, congratulations in every way. Fall turkey season is going to be here, and going to be here real soon. I was really worried about these fall hunting seasons coming in. They concerned me an awful lot because of how dry our forest was, but now everything is good shape. So fall turkey season is going to be here on the 12th of October. Get out and enjoy. And if you're successful, I'll promise you, the wild turkeys in West Virginia are delicious to eat and everything. It's going to be a great Thanksgiving prize. Elk River Trails, you've heard me, talk about this a whole lot and everything, but the Elk River, Rail Explorers and everything, there you see it. And, but they have now hit a milestone of, they started back, I guess, in May, and just think about it now. It's the first day of October. Now, how many visitors, would you think would have come to the Elk River Rail Explorers between May and now? I mean, who in the world could have thought You know, I mean, if we thought, well, a couple thousand would be an awful lot, 11,000. 11,000 visitors are enjoying this incredible state on the Elk River Rail Explorers, and there's more good stuff to come, and we congratulate them. You know, awful good stuff, really good. Okay, you know, I know you probably get a little tired of me talking about record-breaking fish, but the world hearing about more records being shattered in this great state. Kimberly Feltner caught a 50.82-inch blue catfish, you know, on the Ohio River. It weighed 64.15 pounds. I mean, look at Kimberly right there. I mean, for crying out loud, that's a fish, isn't it? I mean, isn't that unbelievable? Way to go, Kimberly. Proud of you. I don't really need to remind you a whole lot more about fire season. To be perfectly honest, well, of course, you don't really know what's going to happen in the days ahead, but with all these incredible rains that we got, we're very thankful for them and really thankful that we didn't have any, you know, terrible things happen, you know, as have happened in North Carolina. But the forests are in good shape now. Now here's something I just want to touch on it just a second. But we're going to, next Monday, October the 7th, we're planning a celebration to mark a milestone. Now, many of you have probably forgotten what that milestone is. But now just think about this. October the 7th marks the Roads to Prosperity, when we pass the Roads to Prosperity. And I would tell you just as straight up as I know how to tell you just this. There'll never be a date in the history of this state that's more significant than this right here. You know, I hope to goodness that governors to be forevermore, we celebrate October the 7th in West Virginia. Because think about it. Think about it. At this time that this happened, our state was so bankrupt we didn't even hardly know our name. That's all there is to it. Absolutely nowhere to turn. Bonds being derated, absolutely rainy day fund drained. I mean, we didn't have anywhere to turn. Absolutely as bankrupt as you can possibly get. Now you look where we are today. I mean, we have now become the envy of the world. Not only are we on this rocket ship ride and everything is where it is, I mean, just think of what has happened all across the board, whether it be tourism or roads or whatever it may be. It is unflat believable. Now, let me tell you, you know, we should remember this day forever because absolutely, Roads to Prosperity, the passing of Roads to Prosperity, jump-started this state and took this state off like nobody's business. Now, the world has awakened to us. The world sees us. Before, the only thing they did was tell bad jokes about us. This date is unflat believable. And we should remember it and remember it forever. I had all the naysayers in the world that said the people will never vote for this. They'll never vote for this because we'll have to raise their taxes more and more and more. We never raised your taxes. We never, ever raised your taxes more and more. Absolutely, and since this date, we have consistently cut your taxes and cut your taxes phenomenally. We should never in West Virginia forget this day because this day was spawned, I think, on an idea that came to me from the good Lord. I will never take credit for this idea because I'm not smart enough to have come up with this idea on my own. Literally, without all that being said, or with all that being said, this idea centered around what would we have to do to let every road job that we had on the books, what would we have to do to absolutely create thousands and thousands of instant jobs? What would we have to do? And here was the answer. And lo and behold, great goodness alive, we're off and going. That's all I've got. I appreciate you. We'll take your questions.
All right, thank you, Governor. Now we'll take questions from members of the media. First up today is Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, Governor. This is Charles Young with WV News. You just referred to the first round of our special session. So were you anticipating that lawmakers would do that, come in, take care of some of the business, then gavel out for a week? Why not wait until just call them in next week? Thank you.
Well, Charles, first of all, you know me well enough to know that when I tell you I'm going to do something and I tell you the date that I'm going to do it, that's what I'm going to do. And I thought really the passage of the stuff that I read off and everything here, we got a lot of stuff off the books, probably 175 or 60 or 70 million dollars worth of stuff. I mean, for crying out loud, Charles, listen. In the state of West Virginia, when I walk in the door, the best way to describe it, and I've said it over and over, in just months or a very, very short time before I walked in the door, we were downtown cutting the ribbon on the opening of a Taco Bell. I mean, Charles, in this special session days right here, what we did is we passed $160 or $70 million worth of stuff, to say, oh, well, why not wait another week and everything. The reason I didn't want to wait another week is just simply this. You're getting too close to the elections. Let's get something done. I told the people we were going to do it, and I did it. And so we've still got stuff to do, and I hope we can get it done, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Next up is Mark Curtis with the Nexstar Media.
Good afternoon, Governor and fellow reporters. Governor, let me follow up on your revenue numbers. We're up by 14.3 million. How do you look at lawmakers and say, okay, we're back in the red or back in the black, and we should go ahead and do the 5% tax cut? I asked this because I talked to both Republicans and Democrats yesterday during the session, and some of them suggested, well, maybe we can't do a full 5%, maybe 2 or 3% might be the sweet spot. So I guess my question is, how flexible are you on the 5%? And again, restate what the benefit could be.
Okay, Mark, I appreciate the question, and here's what I would say. Mark, what we need to do, the 5% isn't the do-all, end-all. What we need to do, Mark, is continue to show the world that West Virginia is on a pathway to getting rid of their personal income tax. Mark, that's what it's all about. I mean, absolutely, if we do 5%, we'll be at 30. If we do 3%, we'll be at 28. Who cares? Who in the world cares about that? We need to absolutely show the world that West Virginia is on the way to getting rid of your personal income tax. Now, we made great strides because we have cut 25% of your personal income tax right now. Now, absolutely, if that's not significant, I don't know what is. We hadn't done anything since 1987. So really and truly, at the end of the day, we're on the beginning, but we want to keep it moving to where the people believe, because if people on the outside believe, they'll move here. That's what it's all about, So from the standpoint of the legislatures, I salute what they're doing, and I salute their concern. But I want to just say this last thing, Mark. If you add up all the dollars that are in different places that are available to all of us today, you add up all the dollars that are in rainy day funds or in all the different agencies, or they're in the income tax reserve fund, Mark, it's like 2.2 or so, it's over $2 billion now. And it's well over $2 billion. I may have been wrong. It may be like 2.4 or 2.6 billion dollars. Mark, you know how much the 5% that I'm asking for is? It's $100 million. It's $100 million. Really and truly, at the end of the day, It's 1/25 of what is sitting in the coffers all over the place right now. And Mark, when you give that $100 million back to the people of West Virginia, they're going to spend it here. And the multiplier effect on that $100 million will turn into 10 times, will turn into to $1 billion. So with all that being said, Mark, the 5% is so minuscule, it's unbelievable. And if people really understood the financing the way I understand it, you know, it is, we ought to do the 5%. But if we do 3, great. I mean, really, at the end of the day, you know, Mark, I think when we look at where this state is and we start differentiating between 5 and 3 or 5 and 2.5 or 2, you know, we can afford the 5 going away. And really and truly, you talk about, you know, majoring in minors. I mean, that's what we're doing.
Thank you, Mark. Next up is Beth Sargent with the Gazette-Mail.
Hey, Governor, it's Beth with the Gazette-Mail. Hey, my question is also on the special session. On your session call was an item to authorize application by public charter schools for funding by the School Building Authority. And I was wondering if you could tell me why you felt strongly enough to include that item on your call and what you hope that legislation will accomplish. Thank you.
I think, Beth, the best way to say this is that this explicitly authorized the SBA to be able to spend $5 million that was already appropriated. And I think that's the best way I can explain it. You know, I really don't know anything else I can add to it. We already had the $5 million appropriated, and this just gave the SBA the authority to be able to spend it.
All right, thank you, Beth. Next up is Amelia Nicely with West Virginia Watch.
Hi, Governor. I want to talk to you about child care. Your administration has told us that you're using TANF money to cover these subsidies for your child care subsidy program, but that could run out before the end of the year. Any plans to ask the legislature to appropriate money for this? I talked to child care providers today who said they also need to see an increase in that subsidy in order to remain open. And also, could we see additional child care bills added to an amended special session call?
Okay, it's Kimberly, is that correct? Amelia, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Amelia, you know, here's basically the net of the child care issue, and that is, you know, we sure want to pass the child care tax credit. We have a national situation in regard to child care. But at the end of the day, too, what I wanted to have happen and everything, and it's still out there, is put $20 million out of our surplus dollars, one-time monies, put that towards our child care agencies, and work it through a grant program that works through workforce, and work it on a merit-based deal. And so I think, you know, that's still out there. We're working with the legislatures. You know, you get a lot of different opinions and everything, and we should do this. We should do it for sure. You know, I still think we're going to get it through, but like I said, you're dealing with a lot of different folks that have opinions. We want to be respectful of those opinions, and they do good work. They try really hard. Their heart's in the right spot and everything, but we need to get it across the finish line. That's all there is to it. If we want to grow workers, grow our young people in the state of West Virginia, we got to do something to help out.
Thank you, Amelia. Next up is Brad McElhaney with West Virginia Metro News.
Oh, hi, Governor. Do you still have Boston Terriers? What are their names? Public policy. West Virginia voters will be asked during the general election about whether the state constitution should be amended to prohibit medically assisted suicide, euthanasia, or mercy killing. Generally, what is your view of that question? Thank you.
Okay, first thing, we do have a Boston Terrier. Her name is Ellie. We lost Lucy and everything. Lucy was like, 12 or 13 years old, and we lost her, like it's been almost a year now, I'd say. But we've got one Ellie, and Ellie's in the bed with us every night. And Baby Dog is, we moved Baby Dog's little stairs because of her ACL surgery and everything. So she's not in the bed right now, but she's lying right beside me in the floor, or in her little bed. But nevertheless, Brad, as far as your question and everything, I'm as pro-life as I can possibly get. These issues, would have to go to a vote. Is that correct? And so with all that being said, I think listening to the great people of West Virginia, letting them make the decisions and everything is always a smart money to us. You know me that several times the legislature and I are a little bit at odds with one another, but always Toby and Edith and I are standing arm in arm because I really believe in Toby and Edith, and that's why we're here, all the legislature and myself. And so I think to resolve an issue like this, we go to the people tell us what to do.
All right, thank you, Brad. Next up is Brianna Haney with Public Broadcasting, West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Hello, Governor. Many legislators in both the House and the Senate said that they would be a lot more comfortable moving forward with the income tax cut if they were provided with a 5-year fiscal analysis of how this tax cut and other budgetary decisions would play out over the next 5 years. Is that something that your office can or is willing to deliver on?
Brianna, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, and if I'm not, forgive me, but I don't say this harshly in any way, but for anyone that has brought that question to you or that proposal to you is that's not fair. I mean, it's just not fair. I mean, we have supplied more information than you can ever supply, and we continue to do that. But I will take your comments and make sure that we supply just that. But Brianna, listen, let's go back and think about it. When I walked in the door, what was given to me is a 6-year plan. In the first year, I only had 6 months because when the new governor comes in now, he's only got 6 months until the end of the year. But what was given to me was we were going to be $217 million short in that year, which is a half a year. And we've got, a constitutional situation to where we're supposed to have a balanced budget. So I'm saying, what on God's earth is going on? I mean, how in the world could we have come up with something to be $217 million short? It's ridiculous. But then, that's not the bad news, Brianna. We're going to be $497 million. Now, that's not that they gave me that we're going to be $482 million. It's $497. I'll never forget it. And then in very, very short order, we're going to be $772 million a year short. And it all is cumulative, meaning that it all adds up. And so what I'm saying is you got 772 plus 497 plus 217, and before you know it, you are billions and billions and billions short. Now, what happened? Nothing like that. Nothing. So really and truly, that 6-year plan was worthless. Worthless. And so today, if we haven't given them a 5-year forecast, we'll give them that to the very best of our abilities. But Brianna, you can put it dead flat in the bank. We've got right at $2.5 billion in surplus accounts all over the place right now in West Virginia. And if we can't find a way to give our taxpayers, our voters, $100 million break right now, when inflation's eating our lunch, then we're not doing our job. That's all there is to it.
Thank you, Brianna. Next up is Stephen Allen Adams with Ogden News.
Yeah, Steve Adams of Ogden Newspapers here, and I keep a copy of the 6-year financial plan that I think the last one at least was done was fiscal year 2018 or 2019, and haven't seen one since. But today's tax revenue numbers, I know you kind of touched on a little bit. Some are kind of criticizing them because obviously the numbers are down from the previous fiscal year that by 15%, though the numbers based on estimates are pretty close to estimates and kind of borderline. So I know some lawmakers were waiting to see those tax revenue estimates to make a future decision on a tax cut plan. I'm assuming you don't have any real issues with how that tax revenue looks for September for the first 3 months of this current fiscal year. Thank you.
Of course I do, Steve. You know, Stephen, now look, you know, and I'm a guy that believes in realistically hoping that the glass is half full rather than half empty. You know, which would you rather have me done? I mean, would it have made you feel better if I would have supplied, or our tax people, or you know, Department of Revenue people would have supplied you a chart, you know, that every single year, you know, it would have been like the charts that happened, you know, before I walked in the door? Would you rather have a piece of paper and this state so dead last in everything coming or going? Or would you rather have surpluses like you can't fathom, you know, and all the goodness going on? Or would you rather have a piece of paper? You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I had no idea. I had no idea whatsoever that we haven't supplied, you know, that piece of paper since 2018. But in all fairness to the folks that would supply that, you know, my God of living, there's so many other things or parameters that are so much more important than that piece of paper. But I just, you know, I don't need to get in a volleying match with you about that. That's ridiculous. I mean, that's just totally ridiculous to say, well, here's a piece of paper. I haven't gotten this piece of paper since 2018. And I would say to my God of living, you know, you must be living in a cave. I mean, this state is taking off like a blooming rocket ship. Not having that piece of paper, who cares? Who in the world cares? You know. But the other thing I would say is, does the fact that we're not bringing in $100 million, you know, a month of surplus dollars, does that not get on your radar screen, Justice? Well, of course it does. And at the end of the day, Stephen, from my standpoint, if the legislators say to the voters that are hurting in regard to inflation, we don't want to do the tax cut, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just trying to do my job. You know, I told my people the other day, really and truly, if that's what they want to do, I'm okay. You know, I can tell you just this. We need to watch the economics of the store every single day, and we do. Stephen, I have told you 15 times that really and truly the thing that is my number one responsibility as your governor is keep the economics right. Because if you keep the economics right, we can do all this stuff. If the economics go haywire, then absolutely we can't do hardly anything. We've proved how to not do anything. The economics are right in this state. Are we concerned that July, August, and September have not been as good as what we wanted? Well, sure. Sure we're concerned. And are we watching? You're daggum right. we're watching like crazy. But in the scope of everything that's going on with rainy day funds and everything else well in excess of $2 billion, can we do $100 million back to our people that will hopefully even drive more people that will consider coming to West Virginia? Daggum right we can. And that's what we ought to do. Or we can crawl in a hole, and say, well, it just makes no sense to me.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Next up is Curtis Johnson with WSAZ.
Hey, good afternoon, Governor. Thank you so much for taking my question. I wanted to talk to you about your federal or about your child care tax credit. I've actually read the legislation. I think it's only about a paragraph. And as I'm sure you'll agree, it's not the easiest thing for the average person to comprehend. So I wanted to give you a chance to answer just a few questions on the child care tax credit for those at home. Number one, for the average family at home, how does the proposed child care tax credit work? How much will they receive? Is it the quickest and best way to get those families relief? And simply put, why is passing this proposal so important?
Okay, Curtis, I'm going to go backwards. So important is just this simple. We can put our heads in the sand and say child care is not a problem. It is. I would be willing to do more in lots of different areas. I think this tax credit is going to cost the state of West Virginia about $4 million. I think that's really close. Will it solve a whole lot of problems? No, it probably won't. Well, then you may say, well, then why do it? Well, the why do it is I think our young families need to know that we're trying. Just like the forestry folks. We got them $4 million worth of machinery. And really and truly, they know we've got their backs. And they do so much goodness for us, it's off the chart. Well, at the end of the day, I'd like to do more. I can't get more through. In fact, I've not hardly even got, I don't know that I've got this through. As far as all the intricacies about the bill, it just take too long to go through all that. Basically what this is all about is just trying to help, our families and recruit more potential workers to West Virginia. That's what it's about. And at the end of the day, Curtis, I don't mean this in a snotty way. If we don't want to do this, we're turning our backs on something that is important to West Virginia across the board. It's surely important to our families that are here now that are really struggling with child care. And with all that being said, it's important to the recruitment of more families to West Virginia. So I appreciate your question, and the thing you can always count on me for is to give you an answer right straight from my heart. And like I said before, as far as the tax cut, now just think about this just for a second. That we don't have a, Stephen said we don't have a report on a 5-year forecast since 2018, but everybody knows how we're doing. Everybody in the world knows how we're doing. And this state is doing unbelievable. Doesn't that remind you of Clark Griswold's father? I think it was his father that was standing in front of his house after Clark finally got the lights on and worked his tail off to be able to get the lights on. And then his dad said, well, yeah, but son, up there on the 19th row, that row's not twinkling. Well, Curtis, we need to do something on child care. We'll get everybody a 5-year forecast. I'd walk you through when I walked in here, the forecast they handed me and how worthless that was and everything, I'd a whole lot rather deal in real time and what all that's going on and everything. But Curtis, it's dadgum hard. It would be really hard for Curtis or Stephen or anyone to say, we didn't mind the store here. We didn't get the economics right in West Virginia. And we got it right. And now what we need to do is we need to help our families that are struggling with child care. And we don't need to just sweep it under the rug. We need to do something about it.
Curtis, thank you. Finally today is Robert Castillo with WVVA.
Hello, Governor. Hope you're doing well. I was just hoping to get your reaction on the severe weather that hit southern West Virginia, particularly the Mercer County area. And I was also curious to know if any state resources are being made available to the area. Thank you.
Is this Charles? Is that correct?
Governor, it's Robert.
I'm sorry?
It's Robert.
I'm sorry. Okay, Robert, I don't know if dollars have been requested, Robert. Our people are constantly talking to those counties and everything. I don't know of the requests that we've gotten in. We did have some severe weather in Mercer, McDowell, and Wyoming counties, probably some other spots as well, but those were the counties, the primary counties, and Robert, we're continuing to gather information, but in all fairness, we've had many situations as far as weather in West Virginia that were much more damaging and everything to this event in West Virginia. You know what it did in North Carolina.
Robert, thank you. Governor, back to you.
Okay, I wish that we would continue to offer up our prayers to the folks in South Carolina, but especially in North Carolina. I'm tickled to death with how we've done in the special session. I mean, really, truly. I mean, if you just think about it, here's the accurate number is probably $162 million that we passed. I mean, you just think about it. $162 million passed in something in West Virginia. I mean, it's really, really, really good, and it's big time, and we should be really happy about that. Now, we got a whole bunch of other stuff and everything, and we want to try to get through, and we're still working, and next week, we'll know where we stand on the rest of that. From the standpoint of, we celebrated with the Hawaiian leis and all the different things, in the governor's reception room and everything. When we had a month that we brought in $32 million, oh, good gracious sakes of living, we were so tickled and everything. It was unbelievable and everything. So for the first 3 months, we're $14.3 million. No, I'm sorry, we brought in $14.3 million in the month of September. It's not as good as it was and everything, but right now, our people have got $750 million in tax breaks, maybe even a little bit more than that. There's so much things that where we come on. I mean, sure, it isn't perfect, but most all the lights are working on the house, and there is a road that's not twinkling and everything, and we'll work on that road. All the stuff on the paranormal trail and the appointing a judge. Turkey season's here. We celebrate, a blue catfish of 64.15 pounds in the Elk River, trail or rail trail, bringing in 11,000 visitors. And the last thing I'd say to you is this, and my goodness, when we, for whatever reason, my goodness, let's quit looking for something that is bad. Let's quit looking for that. Let's celebrate. If you want to celebrate something, celebrate October the 7th. Roads to Prosperity. October the 7th. Roads to Prosperity. I mean, for crying out loud, what a day. What a day in West Virginia. 72% of the people said, we want to do it. And absolutely, they decided they're going to run with Jim. And lo and behold, we've had a really good time running together. I love all the people in this great state beyond good sense. And, you know, what an honor. What an honor for me to run with them. I'll be with them forevermore. Thank y'all so much.